Howdy y'all, got the Bulldog on the channel. Working up here at the home shop today, and I got a call earlier this week. A guy I'm on the fire department with, his wife had trouble getting to work and said, hey, you're my mechanic now. The local mechanic committed suicide here a month ago or so, and now I've got more to do. So I got the call. I've gotten the call before off and on, but now it's just me. Said it was, check engine light was flashing and it was shaking. Didn't have any power. Well, I immediately thought, something like bad coil, fouled plugs, something along those lines. It's their mass airflow sensor. It's a good one on this. What it is, and I don't know year, Pontiac Grand Prix. It's a pretty late model, but I had it diagnosed in, 60 seconds. It's not that difficult when you can get the stuff. I had gone up on my way to town. He dropped the keys off at me, and I went up on my way to town one day, and I fired it up, and I immediately, the car is running on 4 cylinders. It's a 3800 V6, and since it felt like it was running on 4 cylinders, we got a 99% chance it's going to be a coil. And I'll show you how I confirm that. Now, as you can see, for something that's running on 4 cylinders, doesn't run all that bad. But here's the coil packs, and they're individual coil packs, 3 of them. Each pack runs 2 cylinders. So first thing I did is I grabbed my handy dandy pliers, and you want to make sure that you haven't split out the rubber grips when you're doing this, because if they're cracked or anything, you'll know it. Wiggle this. You don't have to grip it real hard, but you can wiggle on it and then pop it off. Obviously, that cylinder's hitting. Snapping pretty good. And then move up to a different coil. Completely dead. Nothing there. Check the other side of the coil. I don't think I pulled that one off yet. Yep, completely dead. So, we've got a big chance that it's going to be this coil. And I'll show you how I'm going to check it. As with any mechanic, I've got a supply of junk parts laying around. Okay, we're going to pull off our plug wires here, keep them straight. Five and a half millimeter socket. And we'll take our used coil here. Set it on there. Spin our bolts down. Clip it back on. Now we're going to see if it runs like it should. Looks like it's still missing. See if it's sparking on that. Nope. I'm going to try a different coil just for grins and giggles. It's so easy to change. We're still shaking. Coil's still dead. What that tells me is instead of a coil being out, we've got an ignition module out. So I'll pick up an ignition module tomorrow. I might flip that coil over and ohm it out and make sure the coil's not shorted. But most of the time, this is what you end up with. Most of the time, it's a coil because 2 cylinders are dead. But there's an ignition module underneath that controls it. To take all those 6 of those out, take all the coils off, and as you can see, there's an ignition module there. I might or might not have one, I'm not sure. But this is the reason we keep parts around like that, is so that we can just throw something on there real quick and check it. Yeah, I can do all kinds of test equipment, or I can throw a part on there. Sometimes you test it first. When it's this easy to do, it is quicker, therefore cheaper. Just throw a part on there. And since it's used, it come off of a core engine. You don't have anything in it, neither does the customer. You don't have a new part that you're going to try to send back after installing it. That's why we keep stuff around like this, if it's common. General Motors, all of them use this kind of coil. If you're lucky. Some of them, this coil assembly is all one piece. That's kind of ridiculous, but they did that. These individual coils, it'll work on a 4-cylinder, it'll work on a 6-cylinder. It's just, they're all the same, pretty much. So you just keep them. It doesn't matter what numbers are printed on them, that's just a firing order. And like I say, I was swapping them around there. The first one was a 1.4 coil, the second one was a 6.3 coil. It doesn't matter. You just got to remember that next time you're doing something, or the next guy that comes along. But I don't leave the used parts on there. They're only for testing purposes. If I would have fixed it, I would have ordered a new one tomorrow. And I would have known exactly what to order. Okay. Now we've got a new ignition module here. Next day, by the way. Really simple. Just spin all the bolts out for the coils. Of course, my battery has to start dying. You don't have to actually unplug the coils. You just set them out of the way. coils actually hold in the ignition module. And remember, this one is the one that I swapped out. Here's the original right here. I'm going to put it back. Now, ignition module's loose. Take our 7mm socket. Come on. Unplug. Plug in. Not super tight. Get off your mounting surface a little bit. Just make sure there's no debris on it. And make sure it's not corroded. I've seen them lose ground underneath of it also. There's little notches that it sets on, so you got to make sure you're good with them. Part of the reason I like using this little impact is that it's almost impossible to do damage with it if something's cross-threaded. Of course, with little bolts this small, yes, it can do that, but it's also pretty slow. All right, let's go fire it up, see if we got all 6 cylinders now. I'm going to pull off a plug wire and show you that it's snapping now. Okay, completed repair. We're going to take it out and go for a little test drive. Be sure you use pliers that are insulated on one end or the other or both, because believe me, you do not want to get hit by that kind of a system. It will put you down. The older systems, they'd snap you in. Ow, that hurt. And the HEI systems will snap you and you'd smack your head on the hood. These systems, they'll hit you, and if you get a direct hit and then you get up off the ground, I've been hit by them before. Fortunately, you tend to do that stuff when you're younger and dumber and have better bladder control, and then when you get older, you just don't do stupid stuff like that. So there we are, start to finish. Misfire on a Pontiac Grand Prix. Just a bad ignition module. Would have been better if he'd have just been a bad coil, but at least it's still an easy repair. A lot of people can do it. You can check it yourself and do it there at home. I advise not to get the cheap parts, but you know, if you're doing it yourself, you can do it 6 times. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell notification, share it all around. We'll talk to y'all later.